Hi, John.
Hey, Alex.
Do you know who I blame?
Who do you blame?
Fucking Katie's shitty parents. Dude, what are you, driving up a goddamn Oregonian mountain without snow chains? There's a million signs saying where's snow chains. Also, they're from that area. Fuck you. This is entirely your fault. And how'd you raise that shitty ass kid? Because if Katie wasn't such an ill-tempered little jerk, she wouldn't have imprinted on M3GAN like that. And that poor CEO that kind of reminded me of Asian Elon Musk would still be alive to this day.
Mm-hmm. He's the real victim in all of this.
Yes, the real victim of M3GAN. So, Megan, we did it. Welcome to the episode.
Yep. Starting strong.
Here's we never actually discussed this shit on the show all that much. But I would just like to point out that this movie was made for $12 million, which this looks really fucking good for a $12 million movie, like in nowadays money, because it's what this come out last year. Like, Jesus, they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, and it's for something that they just dumped in January too, which is traditionally where they just put movies that they don't give a shit about. Yeah, no, it looks good, and I like that. I like and don't like that, because just on an aesthetic level, I would have liked if it was like scrappier and slightly less slick, but I don't think that's.
Oh, I got.
I don't. That's not like this is bad because of that. It's just my own personal preference.
So I was looking into this movie, and apparently there's quite a few people that find M3GAN attractive.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and it's the internet.
I don't like that discourse is so. It's like I wasn't looking for anything to do with that. I was literally just trying to figure out about the movie, and that showed up in my results.
Sorry.
So fuck this stupid world.
Yeah, I that, and like that's obviously way worse, but I also don't get the Slay Queen stuff with M3GAN. Like, it didn't read that level of campy to me. That like a lot of the initial reaction to this movie was a lot of people that like really liked the dance and stuff like that, and there was I don't know, that didn't translate to me for the movie. If that's what you got out of it, great, that's fine, but I didn't see that as a draw. I figured if I thought it was going to be campier. I'm not mad that it wasn't. I wouldn't have minded if it was, but just that reaction made me think it was going to be way more campy than it was. That's still a bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of it. I was wondering if the unrated version had more kind of camp quality to it than.
I think it's just the way this movie's made. Like it's a lot. Like I said, it's pretty slick, and just the vibe it gives, like the mood carried throughout it is not necessarily one of silliness. The silliness is very kind of like muted. There are places where it works out great. I absolutely adored the detective. He's my favorite character in the entire movie, even though he's there for like 3 minutes, if that. When after the neighbor gets
the guy
killed,
that said I shouldn't laugh.
Yeah, like I shouldn't laugh about that. That was just very funny. But yeah,
I did enjoy that. I watched this YouTube guy, Simon Whistler. He's got like 1 million channels, but one, he talks about true crime or whatever. But like while talking about it, he keeps laughing at stuff. Like not like, aha, that person's dead, but like he makes a comment, like a funny comment, and laughs a little bit. And like in the back of my head, like, should I be okay with this? Because like he's literally talking about like, oh, and that's when the lady was, attacked 37 times with a pipe wrench, and then chained to a wall for 6 months. And he's like making a joke about it, like not about it, but making a joke.
Right.
Like, where's my stance here? I don't really know.
No, that's a weird thing, and I think that's a hard line in true crime stuff, where you have people that do like I do think like a lot of true crime stuff is interesting, but there is sort of definitely you can get really salacious with it. Or there were these people they were getting roasted online. They were like the top Patreon, and they were a true crime podcast, and like all their photos are them like in like confetti, like making soy faces and going like woo yee. And it's like, you're talking about murders. Like, that's weird, but whatever.
Yeah, you won't believe where their intestines showed up, and then soy face.
I mean, I think I think that's fine to do about like horror movies and stuff that's not real, but these are human beings that died. But whatever. I was going to say, going back to what you were saying earlier about the chains and driving up at the mountains, it was driving me nuts just as a Midwesterner, I suppose. That it's a tiny thing, but just when the movie opens and the young girl Katie. Well, there's a horrible ad before that. You can talk about the ad, but The inciting incident, like she's in the back playing with this toy, and the family is driving up this like snow-covered mountain in the Pacific Northwest, and they're talking about how dangerous it is, but they are just clipping along. Like you can see in the projected screen behind the thing, they're just moving so fast. It's like no one would be driving that fast if they were that afraid on a mountain. But okay, that's fine. But I did like
it was real stupid.
Yeah, I kind of like was already going, okay, well this is the tone. The opening ad in that bit kind of was like, okay, here's the tone the movie's kind of going to go for.
Well, the driving into the mountain part, I did like that the mother was the voice of reason. She's like, then why are you still going forward?
Yeah.
Just come to us. Which, because that always bothers me in movies where it's like they're like fighting while they're on the highway. Just coast to a stop. That way, if the wheel gets jerked, you're going forward.
Yeah, I can understand if they're like if they're on an incline
smushed
or something like that. It's like I do not feel comfortable stopping because I could just slide backwards. I don't know how this stuff works.
Yeah, I'm not saying they deserve to die. I'm just saying, it's play silly games, win silly prizes, as the right wing asshole said.
Speaking of silly prizes, the toy in question.
Oh, the perpetual pet?
The perpetual pet, which I like. The opening ad for it is very funny. How it's just like you have a cat, or you have a pet that died. What if it didn't? And then it's like this Furby thing.
I loved it.
It's very funny, but like I don't love the choice that they did to like not give the thing lips to make it really like upsetting looking. Because why would you do that? Like I don't. Because I don't think this thing is straight up. This movie is straight up like all technology is bad. And if that was more of the goal, that would make sense that like, well, even the things that are supposed to be adorable are still weird and off-putting. And maybe that is what they were going for, but that's certainly not what I took from it. But it's just the idea that they have these exposed like skeletal teeth. Okay. I was kind of taken out of it wondering about that. But the rest, I mean, it was a funny bit.
I didn't find that all that weird looking because I found like all those toys, like the Furbies and all that shit. Just I always thought they were like horrible looking anyway, like even in their cute form. So that,
but I just don't think you need to go to that extreme to make them that weird because they're already weird enough. I think you can just accentuate.
I got you, but like I think it's kind of fun.
It's fine.
They're ugly.
They poop. It's great.
They poop. Yeah. I figured you'd like that pooping stuff. Being the corporophile that you are.
Yeah, I was shooting my 6 shooters in the air when that happened. I was very excited.
I'm so glad you said 6 shooters.
But yeah, it's this annoying Furby pet that Katie is playing with in the back of the car. It's like connected to an iPad app, and she's feeding it, and it's won't shut up and is annoying while her parents are yelling at each other, and then they get hit by a truck.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure snowplows don't go that fast.
I don't know. I've up here they
You're
might.
from the Midwest, you should know.
Well, that's the Midwest. That's where we we care about one
Oh.
another. Not out here in the big
You got a
city
good
of
point.
the rural Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. That was stupid, and they deserved to die. I rescind my previous statement. Though I do find it, well, whatever. It happens in real life, but they make this whole big deal of her taking her seatbelt off, and then they're the ones that die, which I feel like is like, I don't know. It was just a weird point. No one's making a point. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of like those. It's like some kind of like big anti-seatbelt, like put money into this
RFK
movie.
is like, what you should do is make her take off your seatbelt.
Yeah, seatbelts were invented by Jews and
the
Chinese people.
Yep.
Yeah. For anybody that, this is a very time and place thing, but RFK Jr. said that the coronavirus was manufactured so that it doesn't affect Jewish people and Chinese. This country is fucking terrible.
It's great. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's, I always imagine like when like America finally fell, it'd be like more dramatic and less just like kind of like dipshits running with a ladder in 2 separate directions, just.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's just that canoe gag of spinning around and hitting people in the head.
Yeah.
That guy, I think it's like Justin Allen Johnson. I don't know. He does a very, very good, he's on Saturday Night Live right now. He does a very good Trump impression. James Austin Johnson. And he has there was some clip going around him on a morning news show doing his Trump impression. And his thing was like, "We love our country. What a terrible place." And that is exactly, that's that sort of thing.
Truth.
Yeah.
So for most of this movie, by the way, they're all dead. Everything's dead. All sorts of things. Yeah. We pick up with our lead character, Gemma, and she's like working on M3GAN in her thing. They get like a cool new face for it. But this entire movie, I thought that Kurt, that's the guy, that's the dorky guy in the office, right?
The CEO's like second in command.
No, the other one. Who's the one that like works in?
Oh, that's like Cody, I believe. Hold on a second. Let me.
Cole.
Cole, yeah.
Okay, so the entire movie, I thought Cole was that guy that played Reed Richards in the shitty Fantastic Four.
Oh, Miles Teller. Oh, yeah.
Miles Teller.
I could
like,
see that.
The whole movie,
yeah.
and I'm shocked it's not him. I'm like, oh, Miles Teller. Like he's got a little tubby there. What's going on?
Yeah, no, it's this actor, Brian Jordan Alvarez, who has gained some notoriety on Twitter because he makes these weird videos with just like Instagram filters or whatever, the kind that bulge out your eyes or something. But they're really strange and very funny. Like he has one where he's supposed to be like a foreign guy doing an internship somewhere. That like on its face, it's just these weird turns of phrases he does and weird stuff. I don't know. Yeah. I find them hilarious. He's like gotten all swole and cut and all that stuff since this movie.
Oh, good. Yeah, because he was
disgusting. And two Adonises, we can say that, just a trash body.
Yeah. As somebody that has multiple six packs in them just about every day, I can say that
in a
that
pail.
Guy, you know what's crazy is like that guy. Like I'm saying, it looks like Miles Teller got fat. That guy's probably thinner than like any human we've ever actually met. It's just that because they're in a movie and everybody else are like stick figures. And you're like, oh, look at that Tubbo, and he's probably like 175, 6'1" with abs, but he's like, oh, he's got like a little skin under his chin.
Well, I mean, M3GAN herself, like that's a real unrealistic body image for people.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I wish my legs could bend like that.
Yeah. Well, I've just been putting my shoes on my knees, just trying to get that shortness.
Well, that was because your obsession with Dorf on golf.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh God, there's a lot of times I say stuff on this show where it's literally like I flash to. I know there's people that are like 19 that listen to this. I know of at least 2, and there's just good luck.
But you know what you did is you just opened a door. You're like, hey, here's something new and awesome. Dorf.
Yeah. Here's more evidence why our generation is like this. Yeah. Is that we all have this common thing, Dorf on golf.
Dorf.
He apparently forgot to put like a very important part in the prototype, and the prototype's face catches fire in front of the CEO, which generally, not frowned upon.
Well, they shouldn't even be building it anyway, because they should be focusing on the cheap version of the perpetual pets, which is what our protagonist Gemma, played by Allison Williams, she's the inventor of the perpetual pet, and now the CEO, played by Ronnie Cheng, who's a pretty funny comedian.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, so he's like, you gotta screw this M3GAN thing. I don't know what you're working on. I didn't authorize this. Go work on a special toy. And I will say, Allison Williams, I had a very, I was never really a fan of. Like, I didn't watch Girls or anything. And like, she's fine and Get Out, but she always had this like glassy eyed, like, can I do homework, please? Kind of vibe to her. And actually, I heard her promoting this on Comedy Bang Bang, and she's very, very charming and funny. And I've just never seen a role that required her to do those things. And so she was fine in this. Like, I didn't have any real beef, but
I was almost completely unfamiliar with her previous to the M3GAN, and I don't like have a type for the most part. Like, mostly because I'm like mostly asexual. My only sexuality is making dumb jokes on this show. I gotta tell you, that Allison Williams, I think, is my type. Like, I really like her face a lot.
I don't enjoy being a part of your sexuality. I'm just gonna say that straight, like right now. I do not consent. Well,
I mean, all right, cool. Somebody's getting canceled. Can you get canceled on your other show? Come on, I need all the audience.
I mean, like, I'm not saying it's bad that you're doing it. I'm just saying I don't like being a participant in it.
Well, do you like being a participant and me saying uncomfortable things on our podcast?
Well, wait, isn't that?
Yes,
okay.
So learn to live with it, King Shamer.
Fuck. Yeah.
But anyway, that Allison Williams, I think she's very pretty for some reason. Like, I mean,
she's a pretty person.
Stars in a fucking movie.
Oddly enough,
what I mean is,
weird. This Hollywood actress I find very attractive.
She's not like, she's not in this movie as like a bombshell.
Right.
She's like a scientist type. It's not like she's like wearing the fancy dresses or like showing cleave. Like she's like a regular ass lady, and it's like, wow, you're a very pretty regular ass lady. Maybe I'm just like extra lonely, you know?
Could be.
It's rutting season in the human world, and maybe, you know, pheromones are flying.
Yeah. People outside just throwing around pheromones. It's disgusting.
If we ever like get an audience for the show enough that like we could have merch,
Yeah.
I really think good merch would be "It's rutting season in the human world" in quotes.
Yeah, I mean, what 6 years in? I think we're just right around the corner for getting an audience on this show.
I mean, I think we're really growing in that we've had the exact same numbers for the past 5 years.
Yeah, again, thanks, Steph Quick. thanks for being there.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, and
cold
Pam.
storage
Yeah.
podcast. Another fun thing about this movie that I liked in the beginning, they bring their dead parents to OHSU in Portland.
Oh, I didn't put that together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's OHSU.
Oh. I wasn't that invested in the dead parents, I guess. That's on me.
I mean, it's on. I pay extra attention to dead parents because the other aspect of my sexuality, not doing it.
Okay, that one I didn't mind.
I like seeing Portland stuff that's not like quirky. Like it's just like a regular ass hospital, like The Flash, that TV show that was on CW or whatever. Their city is Portland from the air, and they just kind of CGI'd some buildings there. But I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's not some asshole screaming for attention or like, hey, look, I've got a tall bike and tattoos. Yay! I want Ted to look at me eating a voodoo donut. No, it's like a functional city, and that's nice to see.
Well, I mean, I think that's particularly a novel thing currently is that it's a functional city. Political.
I think that's maybe why I look at it and go, oh, that looks nice. You know, like a functioning city.
Wow, look at that. Not run by idiots. But politics.
Hey, so for everybody at home, we're not going to go into detail, but like Portland, run like shit. They're doing a bad job.
Yeah, terrible.
Not good at it. So that's it.
Gemma, being the sister of the dead parents, has gotten custody of young Katie and is terrible at it. And I like she is ultimately a huge villain in this movie. And like I said, like, I don't think this movie is one of those like, oh gosh, be careful of technology. Look out. It's more like we use technology in really alienating and stupid ways. What if we didn't do that?
Yeah.
It makes it more of a human thing, which I like. Like, I read a review of this movie that I don't want to just like rip off entirely, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of dumb. It's kind of smart. It's fine. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like, this movie's kind of dumb in ways, but it's also like not too dumb. That I kind of enjoyed that because it's that she immediately just doesn't know how to deal with this child, let alone a child that's just experienced this amount of grief. She's got collectible, toys that the kid's not allowed to open. She can't think of anything to do other than to park the kid in front of a screen. Just really ill-equipped, and then just doesn't really try for a while. Like is really just and not like she's not like acting put upon about it. She just doesn't connect with this thing at all because it's not an app.
That's the aspect that I really liked is that, I mean, I get what you're saying with the villain thing, like jokingly, but like that's so real.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't have kids. I used to have a sister that had a kid. Now that kid's in my fucking house. I don't even like have, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like, and I heard just like, not like being like, I got to go back to work. I don't fucking know what to do right now. I really felt that was real. And that feeling real made M3GAN feel very real to me during the course of the movie. Cause like the impetus to bring it home and, make it alive so she can hang out with her niece because she sucks at being a mom. I'm like, oh, that actually works really well. And it's like, all of that really worked for me for the startup of the film. That some of the kind of wonky stuff in the later, I'm already like, oh, you got me on board. I don't care if things go wonky.
And I think that's why, because I was already like tone wise being like, okay, well, it's kind of silly, but it doesn't feel like it's honestly like that campy compared to like your Child's Plays or your whatever. Or I should say like what the Child's Play movies have become. They didn't start out like that ridiculous. Although they still are pretty ridiculous. But as soon as that started happening, that their relationship, that Gemma's and Katie's relationship started to happen, I was like, oh, this is actually rather clever. And I was not expecting that from someone from the creator of Malignant, Akela Cooper, who was the screenwriter with this, along with the story by James Wan as well. But
In this one or in Malignant?
I think
Or in both?
in both, because he directed *Malignant*. The director of this one is a gentleman named Gerard Johnstone, who I have not seen. He made a movie called *Housebound* that's supposed to be pretty decent, a horror movie. I have not seen that one. But this, and it's not, you as a screenwriter you can write different kinds of movies. It is possible, but I think I was a little bit hesitant going into it, and I think expecting that camp because it was from the writer of *Malignant*.
Which, by the way, this is much better than *Malignant*.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it more than *Malignant*, and some of that is the lack of James Wan. I think I actually, having just watched all the Saw movies, I do have a new appreciation for James Wan. The first three, even though only one of those is James Wan, but the first Saw movie is actually pretty decent. And I just think,
is that the one with Carrie Ellis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I saw that one. Yeah.
But again, I think the slickness that this has, I don't think it rests on that. It doesn't try to be slick instead of stylish, which is what I think *Malignant* was trying to go for a bit. That bothered me as much as more this is a movie that's made now. It's just how that slickness is what I mean. Like, this just looks like a modern movie.
No, I gotcha. Yeah, this is like the kind of not that this is minimal, but there's like a minimal amount of slickness that comes with just being a movie that came out post,
Yeah. There's not a lot of
2010
crazy
or
camera
whatever,
moves or anything, or anything. Everything seems well in service of the plot. Nothing like overtly stylish just to be stylish or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, I was not expecting that sort of subduedness from this, and was pleasantly surprised by that, because I think both Allison Williams and Violet McGraw, who plays Katie, did a great job. I think Violet McGraw was really good. Like, I'm always skeptical of child actors, but I think she did a great job.
That's if Violet McGraw is Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we can talk about M3GAN on the whole, the character. So this is I'm more asking you, and I don't know if you know this, but sometimes that's like a kid with a mask on. Sometimes that's CGI. Sometimes that's a puppet. Is that what I'm picking up on?
It's sometimes a thing with it, like a definitely like a puppet thing. But sometimes it is a very small stunt person doing it. I know this Amy Donald is.
Yeah, so Amy Donald is listed as M3GAN, but then Jenna Davis is listed as her voice.
Yeah, they got a voice actress to do that.
Oh, that sucks for Amy Donald.
Yeah. But I mean, their physicality of her performance was pretty cool. Like, that she moves in this particular, not full on robot way. And not to jump too far ahead, I will give this movie credit for not doing this, even though it's one of my favorite things, is when you have a character that's a robot, and then when it's revealed that they're a robot, or if they're human, if they're a robot and their human physique has been altered or destroyed in some way, so you can see they're a robot. All of a sudden, they start making robot sounds when they move.
Oh yeah.
And this one, she just kind of makes robot sounds throughout it. And I was like, okay, that's consistent. But I was just kind of guess what? All of a sudden, even though we know she's a robot, it's like when she's revealed to be a robot, that's when they kick in the audio cue. But no, she makes weird noises regardless.
Swinging back around, because I was clicking on Amy Donald to see what she did, and there's a picture of M3GAN walking in the house with big kind of Jackie O glasses on and a really stylish outfit. I think maybe that's where the Slay Queen
that's the thing
coming from, is that she has very nice outfits in this.
Yeah, that
and I'm no judge of it.
But no, I think that's that in the dances, which is how it was being marketed, is what sold that. And then when people saw it, they were really attached to that. Where it's, I don't know. I think there's part of me that it's not like I have any idea what children want, but I'm like, is that how kids want their dolls to be dressed? Because it seems very, wouldn't you want play clothes to go run around?
M3GAN dresses like she's a really, really big fan of Wes Anderson.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good red flag, I guess. If you're 8 and into Wes Anderson, look out.
I gotta tell you, if Wes Anderson movies were around when I was 8, I'd be into it. I'd put down my G.I. Joe Snake Eyes figure and go watch some twee motherfuckers be smart on screen.
I'd like to see them work out their problems with their dad.
Yeah, that's because when I was 8, I was like, hey, you know what I recognize? Generational trauma and father issues.
That seems right.
Yes, we learned that in grade 1. Why did I say grade 1? I'm not from Canada.
Are you? We don't know that.
Hey, I don't know. Oh, no, sorry. What's the Alex voice? Oh, there it is. Sorry. Sorry, lost it for a second.
But so yeah,
Every time I try to go to Toronto, some guy picks me up at a Leafs game and tries to blow me.
so yeah, so this they're totally not connecting, and Gemma can recognize this. They're like they have a psychiatrist that comes to check up to make sure that this is a good fit, and she's that she's not playing with her correctly, which felt strange.
This is my one actual flaw with the film is that psychiatrist. I don't know if it's written that way, whatever, but like nothing about that felt like a real psychiatrist. Like I never bought it. But also, so the psychiatrist is like, oh, you got nothing to play with. So Gemma like freaks out, grabs one of her toys that the girl was looking at before, and proceeds to open a collectible toy in a way that no human has ever. She takes out a box cutter and just starts cutting the fucking cellophane in the front and then tearing the box open. Like, no, I get that you're willing to play with this toy, but you're not going to just it was the most unbelievable thing in any movie we've ever covered. Like the fucking Fifth Element was more believable than a fucking collector would just, it's so, and by the way, if anybody watches this after the show, look how awkwardly she's holding that box cutter. It's like when you watch, if you've ever seen like a real life robot try to draw with a pen, it looks like that where just her hands all wrong. Like this is the first time I've ever had to do manual labor. Is that what you call it? Manual labor. Cut open. Yeah. Oh, maybe she's a robot too.
Maybe. I'd be willing to listen to that. To theories.
Oh, maybe that'll be revealed in the sequel, M3GAN 2.0, which apparently has been announced and is coming out in 2025.
Yeah. Well, she has the idea to create M3GAN because when she's trying to connect with Katie, and they find this robot that she had built as like a grad school project, and it's
Brian or something like that.
It's like
it's some
Phillip
like really
or
normal
something.
last name.
And or Bruce is the name of the robot.
Bruce, that's it. Yeah.
And it's controlled by these gloves that you wear, and it can control the arms like that. And she shows Katie how it all works, and kind of has the idea.
By the way, that robot, to turn it on, you like start up two gloves that you put on, and then you kind of punch your gloves together. That's the start of, like, that's badass. Like, that's everything the Power Glove should have been back in 1988.
Yeah. If you give me anything now, like if I have to like give me a toilet and the only way to flush it is to put on gloves and do that, I'm not complaining. That's cool.
As long as it's only the toilet in your house. Because like I don't want to put on public restroom hand gloves to flush the toilet.
No, that would be bad.
Maybe they could have like footrests that you have to like spin kick to make the toilet flush.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't mind putting my foot in a public. That's fine. Like, as long as I can leave my shoe on.
But
there'd still be like poo juice on the punch thing. I'm just not into that.
It'd be bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then she has the idea. Gemma has the idea. You know what I should do is I should go back to that M3GAN thing. I bet we could sell this, make a lot of money because this would be really effective.
And this time I won't have my incompetent piece of shit coworker forget to put a part on.
Yeah. And so she does it. She's like, okay, so get the CEO to look at it, and I'll bring Katie in. And then what ends up happening, so she's already played with Katie once, and it's like it's gone really well. She's connected to M3GAN. M3GAN has paired with her, whatever. So they're going to do a thing for the CEO, but Katie's very upset. She's like just thinking about how her mom is dead and all this stuff, and Gemma's like, yeah, are you sure you want to do this? But and I really like the way this was written, where Gemma is telling her basically like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, if you're not feeling up to this, but what this is extremely important, and you
it was
should
manipulative
do
as fuck. I was there,
but
for
it was well done. Because you can tell that she like, and I think it's some of this is just Allison Williams' performance, is that like she does genuinely care, but this is her life, and she can't, she can't turn that off.
Well, she hasn't paired with Katie.
That's right.
Because in the end, isn't everything just an awkward relationship that's done by our meat programming?
That's true. Yes. Thank you, Joss Whedon.
It is. It's
yeah.
I even like Joss Whedon, but that's fucking low, man.
Or where it's more Neil deGrasse Tyson. Or
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I just saw the other day that apparently there's rumors yet again swirling that Disney Plus is going to bring back Firefly or Serenity, whatever the fuck Firefly.
Someone brought up there's that new Superman that's coming out, and they cast Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, who's a Green Lantern, who is not,
Yes.
last I checked, isn't supposed to be that old, but whatever. But that, like, anything with Nathan Fillion feels like stunt casting, because it is. Because no one is like, oh, Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
Like, it's this very, it's like putting Bruce Campbell in something.
But Tabula Rasa, if Nathan Fillion had never been in any James Gunn thing, and you said, who you want to cast as Guy Gardner? Nathan Fillion's like, that's like, his personality really feels like Guy Gardner.
I can see that. Our friend Chris mentioned this actor, Will Poulter. And if you look, he's a British actor.
Yeah. He played Adam Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That's Will. Really?
Hmm?
Oh, wow. Because I think he would be a good. He's just got a really kind of like, and particularly his character in Midsummer is this kind of like shitty dude, and I'm like, that would be a good Guy Gardner, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
But point is like, it's just, I think Nathan Fillion, like, whether or not it is, it always sort of feels like stunt casting. But that's also a thing I wonder about, because like the NoHo Hank actor he's Metamorpho. Like, you just had all these different comic book movies featuring also rans that no one cared about. Like, no one cared about the Eternals. Black Adam had all these, like, Dr. Fate, Hawk Girl and stuff. No one gave a shit. No one cared. So I understand you're maybe trying to anchor this with a new Superman, but it's hard for me to get excited about Guy Gardner and Metamorpho, and I know who those people are.
As you know, I'm a big Metamorpho stan, so, I won't.
You're a Metamorpho.
Exactly. Katie and Megan basically have a moment where Katie starts crying, and she's like, hey, what are you crying? It's because your arm hurts? She's like, no, I'm crying because, like, my parents died in front of me like a week ago. You should, like, even if you're like a brand new robot, like, how much of a dumb fuck are you? And then Katie just snaps and starts punching the shit out of Megan. I mean, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But while that's happening, the high executives are watching, and you see they got pulled in by the emotions of this, that they're like crying and they're like, oh, wow, what a beautiful story, which made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you are selling a product based on your niece's grief.
Yep. Yeah. And it's awful. And that really kind of highlights that it is like, oh my God, they're connecting. But then all the executives see, it's like Gemma is surprised that instead of just being like, let's play, that Megan is able to respond in this very caring way. And this really heartfelt thing of like, Katie's afraid that she's never going to remember her mom again. And Megan's like, well, what's a memory you have of your mom? Like something fun. And Megan tells a story, or Kate tells a story. And Megan's like, well, I'm going to keep it here, and plays back Katie telling her that story. And it's like, I'm always going to have that. So you can remember that. We can listen to it whenever we want. And this is very like, oh, that's this weird, sweet thing. And then you think about how this is a robot that's designed to do that and how phony that is. And then all these executives, they're all like, hot dog. Like, we are a toy company thing. We can manipulate children. And there's even a throwaway line earlier, Gemma talking about how the perpetual pets have been secretly recording children to like keep their preferences up. And the CEO's like, I don't need to know that. Don't tell me that. I didn't hear that. That it is just this cynical, awful thing that, you capitalized off of your family member's grief to make a toy.
Yeah. I love, and this kind of shows up more in the movie as this kind of horror moment happens, emotional horror, not like actual horror, where you see through Megan's eyes, and she's got like an emotion mometer, where she like analyzes people's face, be like, you're 95% anxious, you're blah, 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 which is so like, when you think about like the commoditization of emotion that's shown in this scene, her having literally a heads up display of like emotional chunks is kind of perfect.
But I think to this movie's credit, and it's against my own problems, a lot of times in movies, and I think that stuff we've talked about with like Halloween 3, and I know I talked about it in Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 5, The Toy Maker, where it's like, you have invented like this amazing thing that's like the in background to what your actual plan is. In Halloween 3, it was like, you've built all these robots that can do your bidding. Why aren't you doing something with those and not the Stonehenge thing?
Yeah.
And in this one, it's like all these individual bits of Megan are like phenomenal. That you have this like facial recognition thing, this AI that's so advanced, whatever, but you're still making it a toy. Is kind of ridiculous, but it also, the story handles it really well. It doesn't ever make you go, well, why don't you just sell that aspect of it? Why does it need to be a toy? It's just like, no, this is part of the whole thing. The gestalt.
I noticed that too, because like just you can basically replace all manual laborers now. Like it's because here's the thing, like they also sell M3GAN for an unbelievably low price because they were quoted as 10 grand. What? That's $700,000 would be where I go like, okay, now maybe that's somewhat near what the actual price would be. 10,000. I could come up with $10,000. That's it doesn't matter, but it's just like that was an impossibly low number that made me stop for a second. Like, what? 10,000? What is this one of those things of like how much can a banana cost? What is it, $9, Michael? Like it's
because that was the big sticking point with M3GAN is that with the CEO is he was like, this is going to be too expensive or whatever. We need to look for this cheap option because that's who's beating us in the numbers is this cheaper version of Perpetual Pets. But then they're basically like, this is the last toy you will ever need. And they even talk about how, and they bring it up, they kind of make the subtext text by eventually talking about how you are just offloading, your responsibilities as a parent, as a guardian on to M3GAN, which I think is sort of speaks to this whole, it's not the technology that's bad, it's our relationship with it, is that we just keep offloading all this stuff that we don't want to do. That's just a hassle of being human, all these things and making these connections. And rather than do that, she's like, yeah, I'll just have a doll do it for me.
They make a point of, well, I don't know if they say directly, but the comparison is screen time, where they have this thing where Katie, her parents actually said you can only have X number of hours on screen time. And, Aunt Gemma is like, well, I don't even know why you would just go. Of course, you have all the screen time. Yeah. That's what life is. By the way, let's stop here for a second, because I'm noticing we're pronouncing the lead character's name wrong.
Are we?
Or differently. I'm saying Gemma, you're saying Gemma.
I'm probably saying it wrong. I want to say.
Do you think it's you? Because honestly, this is a 50-50. I didn't pay enough attention. And so I'm like, one of us is off.
I think it's Gemma. I think, yeah.
Is it Gemma?
Yeah.
Okay. We can't pass up the greatest line from Ronnie Chang in this movie, where he's going to kick Hasbro in the dick.
Yes.
I just love the idea of, my sentient 7-year-old girl robot, you know what that's going to do is kick Hasbro in the dick. I don't know why that hits me in a very a place of wonder and dare I say delight.
It's a very specific joke, but I enjoyed that. We didn't mention that you made allusion to that Katie's arm being hurt is because there is a there's a neighbor, a wacky next door neighbor that has a mean dog,
Celia, played by Laurie Dungy.
Yeah, and it has this dog that's on Gemma's property, and she's mad about it. And at some point, I think this is like something. She's playing with a bow and arrow outside, like suction cup arrows, and is missing one. And M3GAN's like, "Oh, hey, it's over there." Uses her M3GAN sense to scan the thing and find it, and it's in this hole where the dog's moving out. And Katie reaches in to grab it, and the dog starts biting her. And then M3GAN goes to help, and it just pulls M3GAN through. It was very funny.
It was really funny. Yeah. You may know this actress who played the next door neighbor, Laurie Dungy. She was in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, as Mrs. Bracegirdle.
Oh,
so I think
Mrs. Bracegirdle. Oh,
that's Mrs. Bracegirdle. I know it's like 20 years later, so you don't really recognize, but yeah,
it's wild that is that's only in the extended edition, because like when you think Lord of the Rings, you think Frodo, Mrs. Grace Birtle, and then the king.
I mean, I do. For me, it's Tom Bombadil, followed by Frodo, followed by Mrs. Bracegirdle. Yeah. And then Mr. Maggots, Crops, then Mr. Maggot.
And Mr. Mephistopheles from Cats.
Yes, and then Bill the Pony, Mixley Spitalik. Mm-hmm. These are references. People enjoy them.
But later that evening, after that whole thing, M3GAN kills the dog. You don't see it happen, but it's very, I mean, it's heavily implied.
Which is smart for this movie, because he's still like, even though it's M3GAN is like bad, you still like have a bit of empathy towards her. Like there's still like a, that kind of Chucky from Fred. What are those movies called? Are they just called Chucky?
Well, they're Chucky, because Child's Play is a at a certain point they became like Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and then Child's Play is owned by the company. Chucky is owned by the creator, so he can make his own stuff. Yeah.
That's why I got lost for a second there. But like, you know, you kind of start rooting for Chucky a little bit. Like you're kind of like on Megan's side like a tiny bit, and I think that would be kind of ruined if you watch her off a dog.
Yeah, well,
like it being off screen is good.
Yeah, and you get the sense that because it is like I am protecting this child. Some of the kills later when Megan really starts like going off, okay. It seems like that core conceit is out the window a bit, but whatever. I'm having enough fun.
Well, I think there's a moment. Well, there's multiple moments in here where I think Megan becomes like actually sentient and self-aware.
Yes,
because there's a spot where like one, she learns about death. There was like a cute little conversation between her and Katie about like how death works. But then there's another one where she's like, somebody asks her, "What are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I've been asking myself that same question." Like, it seems like we're trying to get the point of like, she's become fully self-aware. Like, this is not just programming anymore.
Which gets into a problem I have with the end a bit, but we can, I'll table that till then. But, yeah. And then
also that neighbor, just before we pass that spot up, that actor should get like every award because I was furious at her. Like, I fucking hate when people's shitty dogs are off leash and they're just like, "Oh no, it's my little Pokekins. It won't hurt anybody." I hate that so much.
I used to date a woman that had this very large neurotic dog, and we were on a hike one time, and these like two tiny dogs like come up. Her dog is freaking out, and the people coming up, they're thinking, "Oh, don't worry, they're nice," and she's like, "My dog isn't." Like, you know, we've complained about bad dog owners before on the show, and I stand by it. Their bad dog owners are bad.
Exactly.
And I'm very brave.
And I stand by what you say off air, where you say all dogs should be killed.
I say all dogs go to heaven. We're talking about a movie. It's a different thing. It's talking about my favorite movie,
how they get
and
to
I
heaven,
want to do it.
You know, that whole poison every dog thing that you were going with?
That is in my fan fiction about the sequel.
Don't worry, John. It happens off pod when you kill all those dogs. No one's going to hate you.
Actually, I did have a neighbor.
Actually, I did murder like 6 dogs when I was a kid.
we have a neighbor that has a dog that barks. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But they got a letter someone dropped something in their mailbox. It was basically like, "Take care of your dog or I will." And
oh shit.
Yeah. And we think the people that did it like just moved out. They were awful neighbors. But pretty shitty. That you couldn't just like talk to your neighbor about it.
Nice,
that you just go immediately to threatening dog murder. Cool stuff.
Yeah, but it's nice to get a letter though, right?
Well, yeah, it's nice to hear. It's nice to reach out, you know, in this push button technological world. But yeah, so she kills the dog, and then later there's a thing where Gem is trying to get Katie more involved in stuff. Is going to go to this special school because she's like, I can't teach you everything. She's like, I'm learning everything from Megan because Megan is a font of knowledge, and and it's kind of cool how they do it. Like it doesn't seem like she's condescending to the child at all. Like when she drops off some crazy fact, and then Katie's like, "That's crazy," and Megan's like, "I know, that's wild." And I like that. So she is learning stuff from Megan, but
I think the idea is that in a vacuum, Megan actually does love Katie.
Oh, totally.
Like because this turns into like, you know, a horror movie. And of course it's like jealousy and weird. And then she becomes alive and starts killing everything. But like, if this were just, a deserted desert island, this would have a, very happy ending of just 2 people.
Right.
Well, 1 robot and 1 little girl staying together.
But they, so Gemma takes her to this like this camp for gifted kids or something, or, this school. And she doesn't want to go unless Megan goes too. She's like, I can't. I have to take her in for all these tests. We have this big presentation. We're unveiling her to the public. It seems very strange to me that Megan is able to be like off the property at all. You know what I mean? That they didn't just like lock that down and like, well, now that you've agreed and we're going to buy this, that doll is ours and we'll just be doing nothing but taking care of it.
Or at least have like armed guards around it at all times. I get that it's got to hang out with Katie to like keep building its, framework or whatever. But no, you would have shitloads of security walking around like constantly.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a thing I was thinking about. I was like, well, that's kind of convenient that they are able to just be like, just, you know what? As long as it's here for the presentation, it's fine. We don't need to worry about any other aspect of this.
Oh yeah. It's totally chill. Yeah. Take this thing that's the future of our, multi-billion-dollar company. And just hang out. Bring it to the lake.
Yeah. Just have it back. Make sure you fill it up with gas before you bring it back.
Well, when they're at the school, here's the other thing with like how I hate dog owners that let their dogs off leash because it's like, fuck you, dude. I don't like this shit. Is that shitty lady that she meets at the school that lets her shitty son off leash?
Yeah.
Because, I'm not saying that kid was asking for it, but that kid was totally
that kid was totally asking for it. Well, what I love when they pull up too, because like I said, like Katie is doesn't want to go to this thing unless Megan can come too, and Jim was like, no. And when they get there, she's still arguing with Katie about it, and this volunteer teacher, whatever, comes up. And I was like, oh, well, your girl's going to join us? And then, like, Megan turns her head. She's like, oh, my God, Jesus Christ. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. That's like adult. Like, that's kind of like the movie in a nutshell. I thought it was very funny.
Wait, would imagine that it wasn't a doll, though? Like, she had, like, really bad burns.
Yeah.
Like, so she had to, this is her first time out of the house since she had the accident. And the first outsider she sees in years, she was nearly burned to death.
Yeah.
Is this sweet lady going, oh, my God, you're hideous.
Yeah, get used to it. That's going to be your life. But the agreement is that Megan can come as long as she just goes to she puts her in the toy area where all the kids are just leaving their toys before they go do stuff for the day. And there's this awful piece of shit that is Gemma meets his mom, and she's like, oh, my boy Brandon, he's had some behavioral issues, but he's just bored. He's actually like really great. And he immediately like tells her to fuck off. And later she gets paired up with Katie doing some activity, and he immediately starts like assaulting her, basically. Like they're picking up chestnuts, and he like jams the spiky chestnut thing into her hand, and he's a big bully.
Is that what a chestnut looks like? I've never seen one outside of its final form.
It's on the outside it's a spiky thing.
Oh, no shit.
And you crack that open.
Yeah, I guess I figured it out in context.
Get that nut meat.
I had no idea.
Yeah. But then Megan, sensing that there's danger, goes and tries to like prevent it, and then the Brandon's like, oh my God, this is such a cool toy, I'm taking it. And like,
by the way, Brendan has got to be swole as shit, because they reference that she's made of mostly titanium.
Yeah.
And he just bodily lifts her like readily, which feels like.
Well, it's the doll is very it has movie properties, whereas when it's convenient you can pick it up and it's fine. But Megan ends up sort of coming, activating and beating the shit out of him, like pulling off his ear, which is brutal to watch. And then the kid ends up falling down a hill and getting hit by a car. Which I still like, funny because gives Megan plausible deniability. Like, look, I was just maiming him. I didn't kill him.
And I love in like the way our brains work, at least mine. Then like, oh yeah, it's good that they killed that dog off screen, because then you would be against Megan. And we're like, oh no, you murdered that child in front of us. Totally cool. Oh, sorry, tortured.
Yeah,
then murdered that child in front of us. Like, it's fine.
Technically, it's more manslaughter, and it was more negligence than anything else.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
but Megan is very cold-hearted about it, and when they get back, like they've already had an issue with the cops about the dog, because the neighbor has accused Gemma of like murdering her dog. She hasn't found the dog; it's missing, but she's convinced that Gemma did it. And then they get talked to again because now this boy has died, and that's when you see that's when you get the detective. That's the great character actor scene, and there's not much to it, but it's still just very, very funny, just the way that guy does it.
It's the work of Millen Bard, and I got to tell you, or Baird, he's the best.
Yeah, it's great, and like
the Baird stuff.
And it doesn't. It's not like it steals the entire movie. It's just he's very, very funny in this scene, and then it just moves on. Yeah, because they're like, oh yeah, we've heard you've been talked to before because this other child died, and I think this. Oh yeah, but at this point also like Megan has killed Celia. Sprays her with chemicals in a way that doesn't make any sense.
No, not yet. Oh. Well, I mean, that happens that night, basically. Megan sneaks out and kills the neighbor. But in the unrated version, apparently you get a close-up of the power sprayer, power spraying her face off.
Ooh, nice.
Which I'm like, oh, that might be cool.
That would be cool, yeah. Because that seems more realistic than it like flinging her across the room. But whatever. It was still fun. But yeah, so Megan kills her. Megan has now got a taste for blood.
Yeah, and Gemma is starting to get a little sus. She's like, what's going on here? Wait, my neighbor's dead. That kid the shitty kid at the camp is dead. What's going on? She looks at Megan. She's like, hey, wait a second. you might be murdering people, like in every movie that's ever been made about sentient robots.
Yes, she starts trying to check Megan's like files, backup files of video recordings of what happened, and they're all like deleted. They're all missing, and then Megan starts to kind of like Megan shows up. It's like, hey, what are you doing? Starts being pretty creepy about it, and I like her whole thing where she's like, where Gemma's like, did you kill that boy? And she's like, boy, you better hope I didn't. That I like that, like,
oh yeah, she's like, we'd both be in trouble if that happened. Yeah.
Well, you are implicated in this too, so like, so it's not just that the doll is like crazed. It's like this is a stupid smart doll. I hate this thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of a fan. I wish she survived. I wish Megan won.
Sure. But they still, like, that still doesn't stop. I mean, she's starting to have questions, but she's like, well, we're still going to do this rollout. That's still going to happen, which I like.
Yeah. Well, she talks to her coworkers like, look, we gotta get these files out. Like, it's important because she may have murdered people. And while this is all happening, Katie is having a full ass freak out. And
because you've taken away her like one support system that she has.
Yeah. And there's like actually like a touching moment where Gemma like comes in like, look, I made a real hash out of this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I should have talked to you about this earlier. And like, they have a moment. She imprints on her. She's now her number one user. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know what? Fuck this. Family's more important. I'm gonna drive back to my house. My coworker's got this shit. It's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call her. Be like, hey, coworker, I gotta go home. You got this? And the coworker's like, yeah, totally got it. Turns out, not the coworker. Yeah. M3GAN's in the phone.
And this is where
the call's coming from inside the robot.
And this is where the movie loses me a bit because I recently watched, and I'll talk about it more in my recommendations thing. I've rewatched Demon Seed, which is about like an evil sentient AI like taking over a robotic home and terrorizing Julie Christie. But like Megan's in the internet. What does it matter what you do to the doll now? You know what I mean? It's the if she has the capability to like, because she's like controlling lights in the building and stuff too. Like if she has the ability to interact with this stuff, why is she constrained to this doll's body then? And it seems like you've already lost, and so destroying the doll isn't really going to do much for you.
Well, maybe she's only in the intranet.
That could be. She's firewalled in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that was something that was just bothering me. It's like, well, you don't need to be the doll anymore. You can just be whatever.
I didn't like that aspect of the end, but the movie had won me over. So
yeah, it's fine.
I was that was one of the ones that I looked.
Yeah,
because the last shot in the movie is the Gemma's house robot, the actual like Amazon Echo or whatever, Elsie I think its name is. Mm-hmm. When she's not in the house, the Elsie's light turns on and turns to look out at them. It's like, oh no, Megan's in the house.
Well, it made me think of.
And it's like, yeah, it's kind of stupid.
It made me think of the end of Lawnmower Man, where his whole thing is like, if I escape this and like get into the web, it's over for you hoes. And the movie ends with like all these phones ringing at once because that signals that he got out.
Yeah.
But sorry, Lawnmower Man spoilers for all the big Lawnmower fans out there.
Oh yeah, goddamn! I was just about to watch that.
But. Yeah, so it's nice that they have that connection that they do, and it does feel genuine. Like I think again, it's the performances really speak to that. It's good actors, but yeah, Megan breaks containment, goes nuts, tries to hang and blow up her assistants, and then like kills the CEO. That's where you see the cool dance that she does, and then she kills the CEO.
Yeah, with a paper cutter, which. As somebody that works in the print industry, I was like, man, that must feel really satisfying. Like I was just getting some ideas.
Well, I also wonder because there's a little subplot that's not a whole lot is dealt with, but like that his assistant Kurt that we mentioned earlier, like steals a bunch of Megan's files for himself, and so I'm guessing that's going to come in Megan 2.0 is that Hasbro's.
What's intimated that he was the one that gave. The specs to the Perfect Pet or Mordo Pet, whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah.
That's why they could get a cheaper version from their rival, is because old dirtbag Kurt.
Yeah. Kurt
But he got dead in an elevator.
Yeah. Megan makes it seem like Kurt killed the CEO and then himself. Again, not just crazy, but like conniving and evil, and steals the CEO's car, and
I do wish we got some more shots of Megan actually driving.
Yes.
I don't know why. I was thinking that'd be
tiny.
funny.
Like, how are you working the pedals? But she probably can interface with the car and
Just
whatever.
like blasting. Like, I'm sure you could have really fun song choices. I don't know what you'd listen to, but like, I'm sure it'd be great. Domo Arigato or something.
But that's when you get the big final showdown. Like Megan's is like, I'm gonna take over. I'm the one who really loves Katie. Like, you don't. So I'm gonna take over. And their fight is kind of fun. How like she's put, Gemma has put Katie to bed, and Katie like wakes up and is like, I thought I heard something. It's like, and Megan's like, no, she just dropped me. It's fine. Don't go back to bed. This isn't an actual fight. It was almost like abusive, an abusive parent situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where Megan's plan is a little weird here, because at one point she said, I can shove this pen into your brain and you'll be like full body paralyzed.
Uh-huh.
How does that make Megan win? Like, Katie's going to have to go to Florida to live with her shitty other
I think
grandparents.
Megan's plan is that like I can show that I'm so useful that I'm taking care of you and then like that will be even more impressed when people let me get away with this and I can be with Katie this won't kill you because I recognize you as my creator, but I can knock you out, and so I have maybe I have some kind of weird affection for you, but you're too much of a damn meddler. So I'm going to incapacitate you, and then you're still alive and can't tell anyone about me. Which, like, honestly, is somewhat worse. That you're going to be trapped in your own brain forever.
Yeah, this is like that time I kicked God in the balls.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just wanted to have him incapacitated for a second.
Yep. Yeah. Is that like a pet you had, or?
No, I mean like literal God.
Oh, the actual.
Yeah. So he was on the ground for a little bit. Unfortunately, you know when this happened?
When?
September 11th, 2001.
9/11.
Yeah, that's he was he wasn't on watch, and that was my fault.
Wow.
I was the 14th hijacker. Hijacking those balls.
High kicking those balls.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, my brain works great. I'm glad I have it.
But they're fighting in the garage, and then Katie comes in, and Megan's like, "No, basically pick me. I'm the one that really loves you." And then Katie activates Bruce, the robot from before, and beats the shit out of
which
Megan.
I forgot about. I actually thought this was a good move.
Yeah, she kicks the shit out of Megan. The robot like tears her in half.
And then but Megan's top of her torso starts crawling at them, fucking Terminator style.
Yeah. That was pretty great. Yeah, and they end up killing her, and then it's as things seem to be okay. As you mentioned, the Alexa or the Elisa or however Elsa is what they called it, turns on, and Megan's still around. Bum. But yeah, I didn't get what I was expecting out of this movie, but I enjoyed it. Like I said, I was expecting a lot more like camp based on the reactions people had, and like, oh my god, it was just like I was laughing the whole way through. That I didn't get that, but I still really liked it. I still like. It's not the most amazing movie ever, but it was fun. It was, like I said, it wasn't. It could have been dumber. It could have been smarter. That's all right. It was fine where it was.
I enjoyed the shit out of it. So much to the point that like I think I'll probably go back and watch the unrated version at some point because just to see how like the tone of that is a little bit different. But yeah, for a movie that is not the style of movie I tend to like, I quite enjoyed it. And this is kind of thematic of this show. My not paying attention to what anybody says on the internet helped me. Yeah. Because I had no idea what the response to any of this. I just knew there was a movie called M3GAN.
And you managed to watch it without narration on. So that's a step too.
Well, actually, the funny story. Oh yeah. So what kind of recommendations do you have? You said
Demon Seed is referenced before. It's a movie. It's one of those like I was very into like industrial and electronic music in high school, and I found this movie through samples on a Mantello and the Fixer album.
Oh really?
And we watched it, and it's really good. It's actually like his Criterion right now has this whole like AI series of films, including AI. That's like cyberpunk kind of stuff, and that's one of them. And it's about this guy creates this AI called Proteus, who's voiced by Robert Vaughn, and it's got such a great creepy voice. And it gets into his home computer because this is like in the 70s, early 80s. Like, computers are still these giant room sized things. No PCs, and his house is.
Oh, that sounds like heaven, right? No PC.
Yeah.
No PC woke police. Yeah.
No mind virus.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
And it basically like it wants to learn about about being human, and so it like basically kidnaps and tortures Julie Christie for like 90 minutes. But it's terrifying. It's a good movie. And then I also watched this other sort of horror movie called Biozombie out of China, and it is it's like is made in the early 2000s, and it has that very early 2000s feel, even though it is out of Hong Kong or whatever. But it's got this kind of like pseudo Tarantino dialogue in places, just like people's behaviors or whatever. It's kind of Dawn of the Dead, but in a crappy Galleria in Hong Kong. But it's scrappy. Like I was saying earlier, with like this one being too, this one could have been a little scrappier. It's like kind of like that. Like you can tell like that these people we're putting on a show, and it's not the most like slickly made thing. But I had so much fun watching it. So I'd recommend that one too.
That sounds fun. I have a recommendation. Wait, let me just get that. From the fine people at Disney Plus, bring you Marvel's The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's right, Peter Quill and his ragtag group of people that go across the galaxy, being their guardians, come back together and something to do with the tree guy and things. So I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I literally just did a fucking visual gag just for John right there.
I was excited that someone was paying us money again.
Yeah, no, I wish. I really enjoyed it, like to the point that I wanted to bring it up on the show, like not just like, oh shit, I have to talk about that thing I watched. Like, no, I was like, man, this is fucking good. So much to the point that I almost think you would like it for this reason. They have emotional scenes, and then immediately they just let it be an emotional scene.
Uh-huh.
Like they don't do that's what I'll have what she's having. Like, no, like they just like let emotional stuff happen.
Yeah, I mean, like
and just like you get to have that.
The first one was a lot of fun. The second one was a little bit less so, but I think there was still stuff in there that I kind of liked. But I'm totally willing to check that out. As much as I hate Chris Pratt, like, and I'm not a fan of Marvel stuff, I will watch it.
I'm glad you brought that up because I also am not big on Pratt these days, but dude showed up for this.
Like
good. He actually he put in effort, and whether you like him or not, you can see like this isn't a phone it in one, which I think felt part 2. He was barely there for any of those fucking dinosaur movies, but this one there's an emotional scene that happens, and he is like man, you're like doing it, like you're making acting happen with your face and with your voice, which I know low bar to clear, but like he's doing it, which most of the time those guys don't, and it's really fun. James Gunn's brother puts in a pretty good performance as well. Sean Gunn.
Yeah, which kudos to him. He's also like he's been making some waves online. Like there's a viral clip of him yelling about CEOs and their pay while on the picket lines, which is cool. Good for him.
Yeah,
not as cool as Ron Perlman threatening to burn down houses, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ron Perlman's
Ron Perlman.
That dude's a legend.
Yeah.
So anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I just super enjoyed it. Also, I watched. I may have to do a slight bit of research here because I don't remember the name. No,
I don't know what I've been.
That's not as dumb as it sounds. It'll make sense in a second. Oh, that's what I thought. No, that's annoying. Okay, so I watched the Tournament of Power in HD. So it's a 2 hour and 20-minute Dragon Ball movie that somebody like clipped together and took out the boring shit. So it's like the entire universe. There's a fighting tournament in space for 10 representatives from each of the 9 universes or whatever number of universes there are. And whoever wins gets to live because the other universes will be wiped from existence.
Oh, fun.
So it's like all of our favorite characters, like Master Roshi gets a thing. So it's actually super fun. I was doing, I was like playing video games while I was on, like, but super fun background stuff. But they have a very like early 2000s kind of butt rock soundtrack. Like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like I can't even think of who it is, but that kind of like Static X is the one that pops in my head, or like that other one that's not System of a Down, but that was like that same, but like kind of that area. And it is so fucking weird because it's all in English too. Like the soundtrack's in English. I think there's like one song, but it's also butt rock, but in Japanese. And it's just like, I don't know, it's super fun. I mean, don't watch it, but I found it amusing.
No, that's the thing. Cause like when, you know, Dragon Ball was like one of the first big like mainstream anime that came over here. You know, that was the mainstream here. Like it was on Cartoon Network. People were watching it. It was, you know, one of the first exposures to it being on TV regularly. And I was super excited for it. Because I would go to Suncoast and buy whatever just because it was in the section and be like, well, I'll try this. And so it was cool. That was kind of coming over. And then I started watching the show and I was enjoying it. But then I realized the entire show is just waiting for Goku. It's like, oh, here's the new bad guy. And let's just hang around for a bit. He can kill some other people or beat him up, whatever. We're just going to hang around, wait for Goku to show up and then beat this guy up. And then I got very bored with it. So if you can just like get to the fight stuff, that's great.
Well, there's an edit on YouTube that I found, and it seems to cut out like all the stuff, and which was fun. And it was nice to see Master Roshi doing some fighting.
Nice.
I watched the original Dragon Ball where he's a little bit more active, and the early Dragon Ball Z, but like that was a long ass time ago. Like I barely remember it. I just remember he likes porno.
Mm-hmm. And he's played by Chow Yun-fat in the movie.
Is that true?
Yeah, that Dragon Ball Evolution movie that came out and was like very, very bad.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I actually watched that.
Yeah. It seems bad.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as bad as you'd think, but for like both good and ill. So it's not bad enough to be hilarious, and it's not good enough to be watchable. It's just kind of this like, yeah, whatever. It happened.
Yeah, like the Dead or Alive movie is not good, but it's like the fight scenes are well done, and there's like certain aspects of it that are like, yeah, it's okay, but yeah, it's just a lot of it is in that kind of nether region, and that's no fun.
Okay, wait. I thought of who I was thinking of is Disturbed. It's a lot of like Disturbed.
Sure. Yeah. There you go.
Was that Let the Bodies Hit the Floor?
I don't know.
But is that like
that is Drowning Pool? Is Let the Bodies?
Okay, so Drowning Pool and Disturbed. Those are the reference points.
Sure.
It's just it's very funny. So yeah, I recommend Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and if you're bored, go on YouTube and watch 2 seasons probably worth of fucking Dragon Ball compressed into 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that works. So for next time, rather than just sort of continue to complain about our horrible, decaying future that's unfolding in front of us, what if we went to a more fun one, and it's fulfilling for everybody, and that is Mad Max Fury Road. One more people don't get addicted to the water. There's no screen time. There's no Taylor Swift. It's just dust and death.
Well, there is that guy on the front of the one rig that like plays flaming guitar, and there's nothing to say that isn't Taylor Swift.
That's true. That is very true.
Because I didn't see Taylor Swift and him in the same room.
Yeah, his name's like the Doof Lord or something like that. And I think he does have a whole like backstory that involves him not the Doof Warrior. That involves him not specifically not being Taylor Swift, but the way it's presented, I think there's still some questions. There's still room.
Look, if it's part of the canonical extended media, I respect that.
Yeah.
So let's watch Mad Max Fury Road.
I just realized that Zoe Kravitz's name in the movie is Toast. I did not know that was the case. Her name is Toast.
Speaking of that, I realized watching this Dragon Ball movie, I forgot that like most of the Saiyans are named after food.
Yes.
So we meet cauliflower and kale in this, which I was, or maybe not their first appearance, but those were the ones that like, but yeah, I was like, oh, there's broccoli. I'm like, I guess I never really put that together.
Is like carrot, which is like Spanish carrot for carrot is zanahoria, which is such a cooler sounding name than kakarot. They should have just gone with that.
Yeah, you are correct. That is 100% correct.
Zanahoria.
Yeah, that's badass. That sounds more like a Namekian, but still, point well made.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's stop talking about everything. Yes, so we will watch Mad Max Fury Road. We will see you on the next episode of the show. Bye.
Goodbye.